Welcome to Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway 10 Top Records of 1973. What do I mean by that? Oh, I don't know. I just picked 10 records from 1973. And records that meant something to me, maybe records that I first heard when they came out in 1973 or maybe a couple of years later. But records that all meant something to me in my teenage years, back in my youth. So I'm going to talk about my teenage years as I'm going. So, with no further ado, that's when I first got introduced to German beer, by the way. Back in my teenage years. Maybe not when I was 15 in 1973, but 16 the year after. Oh, by the way, we have a live audience here today, and they're allowed to make noise, just not so loud, and they could clap, yeah, like that. Hey! All right, no clapping, just laughing and just having a good time, because that's what it's all about. Number 11 on my top 10 record. Oh, 11. Hey, why not? Spinal Tap can turn up the amp to 11. I could pick 11 records for my top 10. And it was really hard to pick these records, but because I had to leave some things out, right? Wish you were here. Now, who do we think we are? Deep Purple, 1973, Warner Brothers, on the nice little green label. Oh, yeah. Oh, and comes with a lyric sheet, too. Nice. Now, this was the follow-up to Machine Head, and, it might not have got as, good reviews as Machine Head did. But I really liked it. It was the last record that the Mach 2 lineup, the original Mach 2, Gillan and Glover left shortly thereafter. Who do we think we are? Deep Purple. Ah, here we go. Now, there's a couple guys in my neighborhood, dear friends of mine, Jay and Bill. We're going to refer to them as we go, but that's where I heard this record first. It was either Jay or Bill's. The Hoople by Mott the Hoople on Columbia. This was their follow-up to the All the Young Dudes. Remember All the Young Dudes, the David Bowie song that they had a hit with? Anyhow, they produced this record, and I believe the band produced it. Great record. It's got all the way to Memphis, all the way from Memphis. Story about a guitar that has a bad trip during the through the southern United States.
I had never heard of that band.
Not the Hoople?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
All the way from Memphis. We'll play some of it later. David Bowie, you heard of them? This is like one of my favorite David Bowie albums. And Bill introduced me to that. It took me a while to really warm up to this. It was kind of like, I liked all the hard rock songs, but, not so much the other songs at the time, but I warmed up to it. Great album on RCA. The RCA Dynaflex. Produced by David Bowie and Mick Ronson. Unfortunately, the last record that Mick Ronson played guitar on, and basically David went solo, even though he was solo, obviously. But he picked up a new band after this. Here's another record that they introduced me to. Johnny Winter. Like, I knew Johnny Winter, but I didn't have any Johnny Winter albums. And this album of 1973, Still Alive and Well, it was kind of like a comeback. Produced by Rick Derringer. The other guys from the McCoys on the bass and drums, filling out the rhythm section. Still Alive and Well, Johnny Winter. Nice album for Columbia. Dig it. Frank Zappa, The Mothers of Invention. I keep threatening to do a Frank Zappa show. And I was going to get together with my friend Tony. But he's on tour somewhere with the Ugly Radio Rebellion.
I saw that.
Right?
Yep.
So who knows if he's even in town anymore. But hey, overnight sensation. The Mothers of Invention. Moving to Montana. The infamous Dynamo Hum. Really great stuff on this. On Discreet Records, yes, the Discreet label. But Frank was never very discreet. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to get to something that Sue knows intimately.
It's gotta be my Pink Floyd.
Here you go.
Best
Dark
band
Side of the
ever.
Moon. It's like the biggest record of 1973. And, or one of the biggest records of 1973. Dark Side of the Moon. You know, this is a Japanese import. It's got the posters. Remember you had these on the wall,
Did.
right? Well, I don't even want to open it. And then the green pyramids. Remember that poster?
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
have that one.
Oh yeah. Oh man, people had this stuff on the wall. This is like really nice to find, you know, thumbtacked posters. Came with a booklet. I don't remember the original coming with a booklet. But half of it's in Japanese and half of it's in English.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and then they had little stickers. A whole bunch of stuff came with there. Little stickers that came with the records. And on EMI in Japan. All right, so here we go. This is story time, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get it. Now, this is a story about when my mother first caught me smoking pot. Now, it might not have been 1973. It could have been 1974. And my friends Bill and Jay came over to the house. We promptly put on side one of Dark Side of the Moon in my basement room that I had. Then we scurried over to the washroom. We thought, oh, that's a great place to get out of the way, right? So we smoked the marijuana cigarette in the washroom. Pink Floyd's playing. Then we decided, well, back in those days, we didn't waste the roaches. And we didn't save them either. We used them right then and there. But how did we use them? This is insane. We called it a roach bomb. And we would take two matches, put the roach in between it, light the matches up, and then when the sulfur stopped burning, you had this roach burning. And we all, the three of us, proceeded to sniff at the roach. Now everything's going great. We couldn't just smoke the joint and kind of, left it that. No, we had to have a freaking roach bomb. My mother comes bursting into the washroom. What are you sniffing? What are you sniffing? Sniffing? We're not sniffing anything. She goes, don't lie to me. You're sniffing something. Whack! Smacks me in the face. Boom. That's not funny. Well, they thought it was funny. Well, no one thought it was funny at the moment, but we all look back. It is funny. Yeah, right in the face. And she thought we were sniffing glue.
Oh, no.
Glue was like a thing back then. There was a lot in the 60s into the 70s. People were sniffing glue and killing themselves and whatnot. And my mother didn't know what pot smelled like. None of our parents knew what pot smelled like, which was great, right? And it wasn't all stinky like it is today. So anyway, we had to explain to her how we made the roach bomb and how we were only snorting a roach, a marijuana cigarette. We're not sniffing glue, nothing bad like that, Mom. We had to explain the roach. So we explained the roach. She yelled at Bill and Jay, said, you get home, I'm going to call your parents. She never did. She never called their parents. The whole time they're walking home, they're shitting bricks. Because they figure when they walk through the door, their parents are going to pounce on them. You were smoking pot. Nothing, not a word. Not since she even knew their parents. I would have had to give them the phone numbers. But anyway, I walk back, and I talk about a head blower. I walk back into the room. She goes upstairs. I walk back to my room. On the Run. It's the second song. All of that happened from the first song and halfway through the second song, On the Run. I wasn't hearing any of it. I took it off. I I didn't want to hear any Pink Floyd after that for like a year. I was like, you know, give me Alice Cooper, right? You know. But anyway, that was my first experience with the Pink Floyd album Dark Side of the Moon. How'd you like that, huh?
Very nice.
Right?
Your mother knocked the good sense out of you.
Right, it kind of broke the ice. You know, by the time I was 17, it was free running from there. So you know, it was good that it happened early on. Early on, I had a friend of mine introduced me to the Strawbs. There's another band you never heard of.
Never heard of.
Nope.
Couple hits from this record, believe it or not. Lay Down and Part of the Union. Don't get me on Part of the Union. Good Union song for a union guy like you, man. Strawbs on A&M Records. Yeah.
I would have to hear it.
Bursting at the seams. Now the band was bursting at the seams. Blue Weaver left to make some money with the Bee Gees.
Oh.
And then Hudson and Ford, you know, they formed their own group. But anyway, I had to throw that in there.
There's that one album?
No, they put out a ton of albums.
Oh, they did?
Oh yeah, a lot of albums. Yeah, they were like a British band. They had a cult following. You know,
Okay.
and maybe in New York there was a little more of that than the Strawbs.
Interesting.
Another great album from 1973, The Who's Quadrophenia.
Oh, yeah.
And that comes with a nice little booklet. Oh, a nice book. Quadrophenia on MCA Records.
I love the albums that had lyrics.
Oh, yeah, and this is around the time that they started
Some
doing
did,
lyrics,
some
right?
didn't. Yeah.
Lyric sheets.
Yeah.
You know, talk about lyrics. How about the Passion Play? Jethro Tull.
Oh, my God.
Nice little lyric
Look
sheet
at
in there.
that.
They pretended this was a libretto for a play. And they even go as far as to, you know, make up, you know,
Oh, my
character
gosh.
names for the band members as if it's a play, you know. Some
Look
people
how
didn't,
small
you
the
know,
writing
like
is.
this record. I love this record.
Look
The
how
follow-up
small.
to Thick as a Brick.
Look how small the writing is.
Well, you were young back then.
Yeah,
when
we
you
can't read it anymore.
Oh yeah, forget about reading it. I'm doing all of this without glasses, so you know.
You can't see a thing anyway.
Jethro Tull Passion Play. I do a Jethro Tull thing, and I do a gimmick covers. All of this stuff has been out before on my show, so check them out. Ah, here's a band you didn't know that we knew over in New York, the New York Dolls. David Johansen.
They were
Remember
local.
Buster Poindexter?
They were local.
Yeah, that was David Johansen, a New York rock band, kind of like, you know, the beginnings of punk. Produced by Todd Rundgren, but they really didn't sell very well, and they only put out 2 records before they disbanded. But I don't think that was their major problem. You know, there was other substance abuse problems, and it wasn't just smoking a joint and doing a roach bomb, you know, in your mother's basement. The New York Dolls, which leads me to number 1. I didn't have a number here, you know. I just put them in an order that would make sense. But a lot of British bands, few American bands. It's got to end with Alice Cooper, because when this, you know, Billion Dollar Babies, when this record came out in 1973, my grandmother bought it for me. It was my first Alice Cooper album, and it came with a $1 billion bill. You know, nice little $1 billion bill with the band on there, with Bill Folds, and the lyrics are in here as well.
Good
Yeah.
album,
Oh, what
then.
is this?
Oh,
Oh, that's me with
That's
Shep
you.
Gordon with the gold record.
with the gold record.
That's me giving the gold record back to Shep Gordon. But my claim to fame. And you know, that's all I got. 1973, you know, a great year. Who cares what some people say? You know, that, you know, rock was dead and all of that, and
It was
that
just
didn't
getting
happen till
started.
1974. Everyone knows that, you know. Okay. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little story. Thank you for, you know, my late great brother Jay for being part of this, and Bill for, you know, bringing that Pink Floyd album over that day and getting me in trouble. You know, that's it. Thanks for everybody, you know, shares and made comments. Got a lot of cool comments. The lovely assistant is up in New York. I was up there last week, and we're gonna be doing this show from up there soon. So until then, share in one of these videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make some comments. What are your favorite records from 1973? All right, here we go. Later, man. Move it.